Hello everybody, here we are in Run8 and I want to present a program that I have been making, that is this program over here, Run8 Economy. I have been inside of Run8 for several years. I don't remember exactly when I came in, but it was the version B2 since the beginning, I think, and now I have version B3. And I saw that in version B3 we have full of possibilities here to create things. I am a 3D artist that has been working in the game industry for 25 years already. I've made designs of gaming in different platforms, in X-Plane for example, that has been working making planes for X-Plane for the last 10 years. And when I see a simulator, because usually I'm lately more in simulators than in games, I see the potential of these simulators to make gaming inside of them, to make it fun. And one of the lacks I saw in Run8 was only the option to make jobs and not have profit for them. So you just work hard, because I think this simulator is one of the hardest, or the real work. Yes, of course, you can pick up the menus and auto-start the locomotives, but usually what I do is run it on the ground, trying to mimic the work that real rail drivers do. I have to say that I'm not an expert of this. I've never been in the rail works. I just have fun learning how things are done, and of course I will make mistakes. But my vision of this program is not to mimic the real world, but to give a meaning and a fun part of this simulator, and to reach for a goal that I think is one of the main goals of the gaming, because I think both worlds, the simulation and the world of the gaming, can live together without colliding with each other. So I made this program just to follow a path and reach for some goals, because in Run8 version 3 we have failures in the locomotives, and I wanted always to have the possibility to have an own locomotive by myself. So using always that locomotive and producing problems in the future, a living locomotive that you see all the history of that locomotive. Usually in the way of working and playing in Run8 is you pick up that locomotive that maybe it can go outside of the world, and then it disappears. Of course the number it preserves, and maybe the number is preserved in any database and come back again, but usually you don't pick up the same locomotives, you pick up different ones. And I know in the railworks that is the way it is. Usually the engineers has to pick up that locomotive that is assigned to them. As I said, this is not a real imitation of the real world. This is a program to make better, especially the single player, not the multiplayer. Of course, it could be used in the multiplayer. Another thing I want to say is that this program is still in alpha, and my skills are not programming. I didn't use any graphics, because still I don't know how to program graphics to appear inside of the program, even a simple window to appear. So I use just the plain text or the plain console to represent the things that are there. Of course, everything comes from an idea. All the program that it has done is the same way as doing in an Excel file. But instead of taking the count of how many miles I've done, how many wagons I've carried, how many tons I've been carrying, the program does itself. So you don't have to be counting and using that number. Right now, as I said, the program only takes the amount of money you have. It doesn't account, for example, any market. There is no market inside of the program to buy a locomotive or whatever. That will come later maybe, or just a general rule of choosing the price of some locomotives to buy it yourself. As said, this is a single player, so if you want to trick yourself, you can do it, but why you should use this program then? Of course, everything is test in progress and can have bugs, but you can apply for this that doesn't exist in Run8, and I wanted to share with you everyone. Download it for free and try it by yourself if you want to achieve a goal or something. Just not only to have the records of the number of hours you have been making, or the number of wagons you have hump, or the number of gallons you have burned, but also the money you have. So all with the same formula, then can share their way of using in any multiplayer environment and say, I have earned more money than you, but I spend less money because I've made these jobs, etc., etc., etc. Let's start. I created, this is a world that is for programming, and there are several jobs. One of the things that I deal with the problem of this program was to achieve the number of wagons worked, because usually in the real world train companies, what they charge are for tons per mile. Even in the Excel that I made, it's not possible to be carried inside of the program, and I will tell you why. So the main problem was to achieve which job was doing the user. And I didn't want to ask him anything. I just wanted to create a program that he just run parallel to the session that he's playing inside of Run8, and he forget about it. Because I didn't want the user to answer questions like, are you making a trim? Are you making a local? Are you making a road? No. I just wanted to be totally forgettable about the user. Even if he forgets to close the program, everything would be safe in real time. So if there is a blackout in the computer, he could still have the information of the session he was making. I have been having a lot of problems to have the information, which information catch from Run8, because there is no SDK or anything. There are just XML files that are exported, and there are two files I have used in this program. One is the Vernometer data that it's saving several times per, I don't know, minutes or whatever, I didn't count it. And then the other one is the autosave train XML that saves depending on the train you have in that moment, and autosave each several times. That I think is 2 minutes or something like that. Because for this program to make it work, you have to go to this option and make it available. Usually it's in 2 minutes and you don't have to touch anything, but if you put it off, it's not going to work and it's going to crash. So it's better to leave it in the minimum time. But the problem with the time is 2 minutes in certain circumstances are very easy to produce mistakes and errors inside of the program. So I have to deal with those errors and try to solve them more or less. In any case, I try to make the formulas of the pavement very easy, just to not stay a lot of months playing to Run8 to earn the money to buy a locomotive. So we are going to see how this is done. Once you download the Run8 Economy program, you have to put it inside of the content. Then you can make a direct access here for it or whatever you want, and then you can run it. Here you can see we have a Run8 Economy DocX. I'm going to move it and you will see what happens when I run it the first time. Here is the program, and first of all it's done in 2 languages. Today I changed to English because I was working in Spanish, and you can choose whatever language you want. If you write whatever key that is no E for English or S for Spanish, is not going to continue. So we are going to write it in Spanish to let you see what happens when you put it in Spanish. Of course, it's set in Spanish and automatically creates a Run8 Economy. This Run8 Economy is a plain test, so there are not really great graphics here, but it gives you the information about the number of total hours you have in Run8 and everything in Spanish. But if you close this one and you start it back again and you put it in English, then it will say you about that information in English. At the same program, it's going to be run in English. Because I have several information already saved, I'm going to copy my version of Run8 Economy that you can save forever in case you lose it, because that is the information you have in the economy. And you will see here that I have $57,000. I didn't put the dollar here, but it will appear in the jobs of the locomotives you are using. Here you can see it's in Spanish, and for purpose of demonstrating that it works, I'm going to put 1 hour, 2 miles, and 3 gallons of fuel wasted in all my economy career. Okay, I'm going to save it. When you run it again and you put it into English, that is not going to be lost. It's going to be preserved. As you can see, 1, 2, and 3, and the number of bank in total hours here. So we are going to leave it here to check it out. What are those information he's showing to me? Here in the console, we can see that the program is running. I wanted to leave here the number of seconds because maybe sometimes you don't know if the program is running or not. And the 2 minutes is because the 2 minutes of changing of the train. The problem is that you can have a train, for example, and you relinquish, and before those 2 minutes changed to another one. It was difficult to be able to detect a relinquish of that train. I have to, of course, it's easy if you check out the, as I said, the autosave trains that is inside of the SoCal, because this program is only for SoCal area. That is the reason it has to be put here in this area in the content. So once you have it, you can forget about this one, but we are going to preserve it, and I'm going to let you see what happens in between all these programs. Right now, I'm going to take out this one because we don't need it, and I'm going to put it here. So that is the only thing the user has to do. He can't forget about this. So we are going to start making a job. The way to detect jobs, it's easy in some areas. For example, the locals, it's easy because usually start by a L or by a R. But there are different trains that are R and are roads, so I have to change those tags inside of the program. The way I did this is with the depot way of tagging everything. So it's the depot one, the configuration of everything. Right now, the jobs that are created are the locals, the trimming, and the roads. There is no hump. The hump is very easy to do because it gives the datometer data, gives you immediately the number of hump wagons you have created. But it's the less money it's going to give you. So for now, I didn't make it. I will make in future options. So what I did to make these trains to detect the program, what job are you making? In case of the locals and the road ones, it's the tag one. But in case of the trimming and also sometimes in the locals, there are different ways of determining if this is a trim or not. Because as I said, there are going to be users that don't do anything. Right now, if I pick up this train, and you check out the name, you will see that here is a trim. I put it this because it detects if there is a trim, of course, it's going to tell that it's a trim train. And as you can see here, it still is not detecting anything because we are here in the number of seconds that is not detecting. Because as I said, the autosave train XML is not saved. So once it's loaded, it says it's a trim work, and the number is 1075. That it has 6 wagons, and the number of stuff carried in this train is 60 tons. If we go to the tagger, we will see that the number of kilograms is more than that. The weight is 247 tons. So why is this? Because in the save train it says the number of the load. So I just count the load of the train, not the weight of the wagons of the locomotives. So I run along all the tags inside of the train that is saved, and I just add what is the number of tons that it has. So as you can see here, this is just picking up the number 6, translating here. This is not the same as this. This is just a real time once it has the XML about how is composed this train. In this case, 6 wagons with 60 tons. Okay, this is the amount of work you have done. And as you can see here, once I just click over here, it puts the number of locomotives I have run it, and the number here, work wagons, 0 miles turned, and the money I have earned. That in this case is $10 because I take in account the number of time you have been playing today. In this case, 10 minutes or something like that, or something near 10 minutes. It's hours, so it's 0.1 hour. So I make an account of the number $100 per hour, so you have earned $10 right now. But no dollars for working in this locomotive. So I just started and configure everything. Don't put any train because I'm going to trim. I'm going to start moving this train, so I just point the reverse. We have to remove the parking brake and start moving. All the switches are aligned, so they are going to just work. Right now there are no penalties. I'm going to introduce penalties. So if the limit is whatever it is, it's going to count because the burnometer is going to tell me that you have overpassed that limit, and I will put a fine inside of the program. Now here we are having some wagons that we are going to join with this one. As it says it has 6, and suddenly we should go. So as you can see here, it depends, it can take time or whatever. It says it has 26 wagons and a total of carried in this train, because it's the train that is composed, in the autosave train of 974 tons. But still it says that the number of worked wagons are 6, the distance traveled is 0.27 miles, and the load transported is still 60. You can see here, right now it says in real time how much money have you earned. I had this problem here to make this stream works correctly, because as you can see here, you have worked 6, but it was 20 already in the line. So I didn't want just the program to use 26 and multiply the formula by 26, but only by 6, because they are the wagons that you have carried, because maybe another user in the past, or maybe you in another session, you just made this work previously. So it's not fair to count money for you for a work you didn't do, just for the amounts of wagons you carried and the amounts of load you made. So how did I do this? Well, this is easy to make in yards as Barstow or West Colton or Up Yermo, Bakersfield, for example, the BNSF, because it has departure lines. So what I did in the program is remove every account of wagons that are inside already in the lines of departure. These, whatever they are. So once you connect the train, it just only counts the number of the maximum number of wagons you already had. So 6 ones. So it's going to count only 6 ones. Even these ones, they are going to be removed because they are inside of the line. But for you record inside of this, it's going to be 6 work wagons. We're going to now remove this one and we are going to uncouple. We're going to pick up this one because sometimes I like to just look in another direction because we pick up this train, but we are going to set this the new lead unit. So we remove it and we reverse. And suddenly you still are seeing 26 because, as I said, this is not real time. It depends when the autosave train .xml is saved. It's going to be 26 until it's reached 0. And now you can see it's 0. Just it loaded the information. As soon as it changed it loaded. But still we preserve 6 and total work distance 0. Why this is 0 again? Because this one is another locomotive. It's the 1164 that is treated as another train. But it's not another train. It's the same train because I take in account the ID of the train. So as it is inside of the same ID train, then it preserves the information. I'm going to change this one. And as you can see here, it's going to tell me now that I uses today 2 locomotives. The 175 that made the work and the another one that is this one. I have still transported 6 wagons, but because I didn't make any mile with them, it's 0. Still 22. Maybe this 22, because these miles are taking part also in the moment that I took this locomotive, so it wouldn't be fair, are taking part. But I cannot do anything with that because the autosave train .xml is just saving each 2 minutes. But in any case, at the end, it's just little money. And I'm going to pick up these wagons already to just add them to this one. The same way, this one is called trim also. But as I said previously, if you don't put trim, it would work also, because it would just consider if there is no tag as a road or a local, it would be a trim. In any case, it's good if you just to add the word trim inside of the tags of the locomotives you are going to use. Just connect, and for example, I'm going to use this one. But in any case, once it saves the train, the first locomotive in the tag is going to be this one. Even if I'm using this one. So I don't care in this case. I'm just going to continue using this one. And we're going to put reverse. But even this one, as I said, is the lead unit. Is going to change it once it's save again. The autosave train is going to change to the 1075 because it's the way of saving that information. Okay. And you can see here now it has changed. And it says the number of wagons is 4. With this amount of loaded in these wagons, more than the other one that it has 6. And now it added to the last one, to the 6 we have, and the amount of transport loaded that it was previously. So if I go here, I can see now I have this 37 and this 25, because I've been carrying this one also with this locomotive. I just switch this off and I put it, because I'm still in the locomotive, forward Okay, we have connected all of them, and we just, for example, going to open the coupler. Still not going to detach it because I want you to check it out that it's not going to be 30, the number of wagons, but it still is going to preserve the 10 here. You see, here it changed to 30, okay, and the number of total weight that it has inloaded this train, but it still preserved 10. So if you go here, you will see here that it still is 10 worked wagons, and here 77 and 25 of the moment that it used in the loaded time, if he carried something in the moment. So for now we earn 138 making this job. We're going to remove the locomotives, the power, and going to leave them there. Of course there are mistakes because this train is making now miles, little miles, and it's going to count in these miles in the amount of money you receive, even if it doesn't have any wagons right now. But as is said here, still the train has 30, so it still is thinking that it has 30 wagons. Of course not 30 wagons because it only counts 10, but I cannot do anything because this information, the autosave train .xml, as I said, it only changes every 2 minutes. And usually the user is not going to wait 2 minutes for any action he's going to make. The good thing about this is usually people that play in the ground making the job takes a lot more than 2 minutes, so it's going to make it work correctly, more or less. Now you can see that the train is 0, but still the work is done and is preserved here. So we have earned $149. Now if we want to go out of this one, we are going to relinquish. Okay, the way of having the number of worked distance is by vernometer data. So the problem is that this autosave train .xml it's going to be saved forever. It's going to not to be removed. So the way I did this is because every train, every .xml of the autosave train is saved each 2 minutes. I count 2 minutes and something, and I see if there is a modification of that file. If there is no modification of that file, suddenly I change it, and I say that the locomotive ID is 0, so there is no use. So anything, there is no count anymore. Sorry, because I have a problem with OBS, so I had several information, and now it appears that I have 3 trains because I didn't expect to be frozen the video. So I'm going to explain what I did previously. Once you have leave it here, as you can see here, this is a road train because I was explaining. You can choose whatever you want. For example, I'm going to relinquish the train. Okay, that is the road one, and it's going to be removed. Okay, but it still is going to say that it's a road train once it's relinquished, but it's going to appear as a 0 because, as I said previously, if the information of that autosave train .xml is older than 2 minutes and something, and it's going to appear here as a locomotive ID 0, and it's not going to be counted here in the information. So here, as you can see, change it to 0, and still it says it's a road train. This is a bug. There is nothing to worry about the number of money you make. It is still, this is going to be increased in the amount of the hours you have been spending here inside of the simulator because they are working hours. But this amount of money always is lower than moving the trains. So it's better you to move trains. In any case, you, for example, you can check out here that maybe I want to see a tag of a train. Okay, this train now, because it's mine, is going to be saved in the autosave train.xml, but it's not going to take in account because there is no locomotives. Even if we pick up this train here, that it has no locomotives in the front, but it has in the middle or in the rear, if the front of the train is this one, is not going to take it in account. Of course, if there is the rear and we make it the lead unit, then it's going to take in account that one. But this is done because this information is saved, and I don't want to add this number of wagons here to the word done because I'm just making the click over it. Because I'm not in the departure lines, just in the bowl, these wagons are going to count as they are, but they are not going to count because they don't have locomotives in the front. And just you can see here, this changed already because the type of work it says is nothing. Okay. Of course, I can relinquish. That way I can see the tagger without any problem anywhere. And I'm going to relinquish, and I'm going to do what I was doing previously. That is going to go to this road train. The road trains are just know that they are road trains because the tag. I just created the tags inside of the program of C++ and said what type of tags you should get from these ones, usually based in the depot plus. So I'm going to start the locomotives here, everything of that, and configure this train. Because we are in the departure line, all this wagon that it has, that it says already, I don't know how many wagons it has, all this number of wagons, it's not going to take them in account because they are going to be a 0, but I'm in a departure 1. Okay, no problem, because even if they would count, because they don't have any number of miles, and you can see here when I had stuck the video before, this is the number of the A289, the new one, that is still here. It is not because this is the old version, but it had 0 miles, and because it has 0, it has $0 earned. And as you can see here in the real time, it says that it's A289 still is having this one. Moving, but not having any money. It says it has 39 wagons, but still the worked one is 0. Even I have worked distance is 0 because it doesn't count the amount of tons and the amount of wagons because I'm in the departure line. Once I leave the departure line, every wagon that is outside of these rails is going to take them in account. I have to say, to pick up these lines it was very difficult because, well, it's not intuitive. I have to go each train and see the mile that it has inside of the index, inside of the XML of the train, save it, and know then all of them of these lines to say that these are departure lines. Of course, there will be problems in other yards, and that is the reason I asked in the forums which yards are usually treated at departure. Of course, there are yards are taken in account for just the industries, and you can use whatever you want, etc, etc, etc. So, of course, it's not perfect, it's not at the real one, but it is, and that is important for me, that it is. Could be better, for sure, and I will try to make it better in the future. You see, here now it determined that it's 39, because we leave it, this line. There are some times that we don't have enough speed because it just changed the train, and some of them are maybe, for example, 39, 30 are outside, and I still are counting here 30 instead of 39. That is because some of them are still in the departure lines. Once they are outside of the departure lines, it starts to count, and as you can see here with the same amount of. And it happened to me about the OBS. I don't know what happened with it. It stacks, just crash. Okay. In any case, once it has any kind of information about the amount of miles done, then it will start account the money. Now I explained here the locals. Here are the locals. I'm going to explain it very fast. It's just they are very tricky to make because the locals are not inside of any departure lines. Even in this case, yes, they are departure lines of the locals, so I take in account the same as here when we compose the locals. But usually the locals, as this one, you can break the train and use it again, and for example, break the train here, the locomotives, and put it in the back to push them. So it will take in account if, for example, we have here 1, 2, 3, 13. It will add another 13 ones if you push in the other way because we are not in the departure lines. But I created a system that just joins all in the memory of the program, all the numbers inside of this. Each wagon has its own number, so I added them inside of them to not add it again. So it can be done already. Here, for example, we have the train I was using, the local. This one is the local, and I just put a local 0032 that I'm using again, and it's going to be added. It's going to be remembered again because it's inside of the memory of the program, unless you quick this program. Okay, so once we run it, it's going to say that it's a local. It is a local train. Okay, sometimes it changes to 0. I don't know what it is, but don't matter. It can stay maybe 2 minutes in the 0, but it will return. No problem about that. And it will say that it's a local, the amount of work time that we have made it, and the amount you have. And that is more or less. It's just for that. It's going to save you the money that you receive once you end it. Even if you close the program, it's going to save you that amount of money you have, and the total incomes you had, and the total amount of hours in the career you have made, and today. For example, we have spent 1 hour in making this video, and the total miles and the total of gallons. Still, I don't account the number of gallons spent, and still I don't account the number of penalties you make. But the main purpose of this is, once you have this money, for example, I know that 1 million is to buy, I think it's 1 million, I was looking at 1 million is to buy one of these locomotives. These locomotives, they are $300,000. So you can buy one of them, and then you start to make your empire. And because this has these stats that can be saved, then you can check out this stuff. And then I can read also this XML in the future, and I think I can make changes, but I would like to be in touch with the programmers or the people inside of Run8, because I have several ideas, and I would like to work in this simulator because I think it has a potential like there is no other. When I speak to my people here I make videos in Spanish, they are amazing about the possibilities of this program. It's the best, but it's not the best known in the community. So it's a shame. So I wanted to push this harder, and making this program, I think we can make a lot of playability in this program that it's already don't have, because it's a sandbox. And I think with my knowledge, as you can see here, about planes, I can build any model that you want and give the systems of the models of the trains and export them in the future inside of Run8, making better graphics with PBR textures and amazing stuff, because I've been working for this for a long time. So if you are a developer of Run8, please take this in account, because I want to work with you. I want to work making this simulator better, if possible, in my part, that is the graphics and of course the ideas of the simulation and the gameplay, because I think this is incredible simulator that it has to be pushed harder, because it can reach number of people that could buy this simulator and enjoy this simulator that don't know. There are a lot of people that enjoy other simulator trains that they are not as good as this one, and it's a shame. And we have the possibility, if there is an SDK in the future, I don't know what we could do in the future. Here's just having those XML files. Of course, there are another XML files that are in the industries that can be loaded, but my main work is not as a programmer. As I said, here we can close this one and it still is going to be preserved. Okay, as you can see here, it's 879. Okay, if I just run it again, it's going to remove everything of this, first of all in English. Okay, and it's going to remove everything, but still it's going to preserve the amount of money we earned previously. So that's all. I'm going to put it in the description of this post. You can download it, you can try. I don't promise to be changing everything, because this is not my part of my job. My job is making planes, and I have to spend most of the time earning this money making planes. I work in 3D Studio just making this plane for a Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I wish to change, because I love planes, but I've been making a lot of planes and I would like to change to this amazing simulator, the train simulator. So, but the problem is we don't have any SDK or any connection with the developer. So if you are a developer, please write to me, and if you want me to join you, then I will be there inside with you 100%. Thank you for joining me, and of course enjoy your times in Run8, because I think it's a splendid simulator. And see you later. Chao, chao. Thank you. Gracias a todos. Chao.